Father, we just want to thank you so very, very much for the day that you've given us and for the many blessings. And we pray that you'll bless each and every person, everyone here, Lord, and their families also. And also I pray you'll be with us as we make these important decisions tonight. And each one of those decisions, we pray, will bring honor and glory to you. And we pray for our servicemen. We pray for our first responders, Lord, each and every one of them. Bless them each and every day. And we thank you for loving us. We thank you for your grace and mercy you give us each and every day. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Yeah. Would you join me as we pledge to the American and Texas flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
This is almost like movies. A lot better. Some of this doesn't choose.
I have a motion for approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to move to amend the agenda and call for a vote of confidence in the chairman for his history of behavior and his ability to follow the rules since the bylaws were passed. Just a vote of non-confidence in the chairman.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh. Is there discussion? Yes, Paul.
I'd like to speak against the motion. I have been upset, as many of us have, as things that have happened over the last couple of months, but I don't think this would be helpful in the moves that are already underway to deal some of the disagreements of the past. And so, I'm against the motion.
Is there, yes.
I'd like to go ahead and comment. I will be voting to approve the motion based on the chairman's inability to follow the rules by the CEC since the bylaws were passed last June of 2018. The chairman has not abided by any of the rules and has continued to go ahead and not abide by the rules, specifically of the most powerful branch of our party bylaws, which is the steering committee. He has called meetings without the authority of the steering committee. He is, by our bylaws, a member of the steering committee and has not attended a single meeting. He has also been, there have been sanctions made against him by the SREC of Texas and the state chairman of Texas for behavior designed to disgrace the Republican Party. He was given a letter in order to go ahead and in order to reform his behavior so that he could come in compliance and, with our bylaws. And also, he has been holding funds against the CEC for the 2016 through 2018 time period in a separate bank account to use at his discretion, instead of going ahead and following the authority of the state chairman, who went ahead and told him to go ahead and transfer those funds to the official treasurer of the CEC. In addition, he's been, okay, go ahead. That's enough.
Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Crumby, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to speak. So I'd like to make a motion that asks my fellow precinct chair to withdraw his motion. And I'll think I need to get a second before I can talk on it. So,
I'll second that.
so I'd like to explain my thoughts here. So, this motion, I think I'd like to ask Marcus to withdraw the motion so that we don't have to vote on it, because I think a lot of us will have lots of mixed feelings on it. I don't know if it'll really come to any good. So I'm going on this theory that the last meeting we made some progress, with the rule changes we're making some progress, and though there's still a lot of hard feelings on the whole subject, people are probably very opinionated of it. That's fine, and I understand that. But I think this will just continue that, and so that's why I'm asking the motion. So, and if, it's not, because I mean, how am I going to vote on this? I mean, there's some things I would agree with it, and some things I disagree with it. So I'd rather not vote on it. And if we need to, I think our chairman is working with us, so if that's a problem and we can make this motion later, we can, but I don't think now's a good time to do that. So that's, if we don't withdraw the motion, then we have to vote on it, and that'll cause problems for me. So I would ask Marcus, if you could hold off on this and withdraw your motion. With, you have to consent. If you make the motion, you just can't say, you withdraw it and we can't vote on it. We have to say, yeah, let's all do that. So that's my request and my reasoning why.
I did not withdraw my motion to go ahead for a vote of no confidence. The amendments vote is very, very important tonight. And before we have this amendment vote, because of the history of the chairman, until tonight, okay, this is just too important for us to go ahead and not get this out of the way right up front, so that we know where we stand when it comes to deciding if we're going to give the chairman of the party more responsibilities, because the amendments call for him to take over the duties of the vice chair, which right now are our right as the CEC to go ahead and vote on. And if that passes, then we will now lose our right. So I do not withdraw my motion.
Mr. Chairman, could I be recognized to speak against the motion?
I do.
Mr. Waldridge, as you know, I have a lot of respect for you, and I respect your opinion in this. But, I have to echo what Brian said, in that we've been having really good meetings. For example, the March meeting, I thought went very well, and it was good to have the party come together and organize around the 2020 election. And as you can see, we have pretty much all sides of the party here tonight as well. And I'm really hoping that we can repeat the success of the March 11th meeting, and actually, in fact, build upon the success of the March 11th meeting. And my concern is that passing a resolution like this, and my feelings about some of the things that happened last year, everyone knows, Dr. Wilkerson knows, I don't think it's any secret, but I really don't think that passing something like that this time is productive in any way or helpful to what we're trying to do as a party, because at the end of the day, our focus right now needs to be on the 2020 election, and anything that distracts us or takes away from the party's ability to function properly in the 2020 election, I think is a hindrance. And I really think that bringing this up at a meeting where we're trying to organize for the 2020 election isn't helpful. And a lot of the things transpired last year weren't helpful. And honestly, I think there's one thing, and we're going to have our disagreements in this room, certainly, but I think there is one thing that we can all agree on, and that is, I don't think anyone in this room wants to go back to last year and some of the meetings that we had last year. And I'm afraid if we pass a resolution like that, then that's what we're going to be going back to. And so that's all I'll say about the motion. But you know, I'm speaking against it. Again, I respect you in your opinion, but I would appreciate it if, and I just echo Brian, I think it'd be best if the motion were withdrawn at this time.
I'm not going to withdraw the motion. I think it's important that we go ahead and, based on his work history, give our vote, and we'll all go to the cards for all of order.
You've already posted your out of order, sir. Good. Speaking for or against?
Can I say it as down the middle? Here's my point.
That might be dangerous.
Here's my point. It's already been seconded to call for a vote. My point is, Mr. Chairman, this is all about acknowledging the 2018 bylaws. And the concern is, if you haven't or not acknowledged the bylaws with the proposed changes, that could make a big difference in how people vote for or against. And this acknowledge the proposed bylaws and the 2018 bylaws that were voted in by the CEC. Thank you.
Hearing no other comments, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, please stand. Please sit down. All opposed, stand. Thank you. You can see it. Motion failed. Now we have to vote on approval of the agenda. Is there any other amendment to the agenda? Yes.
Allison Winter is out of town, but I do have a report for the vacancy committee, and I see that the vacancy committee report is not on here.
Why don't you come to the microphone? We'll show you.
It's under number 7.
Oh, it is on.
It's under number 7, committee reports.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion we approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted. The approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Secretary?
We have, there's 2 sets of minutes. There's minutes for March 11th, which was our last CEC, and we did not approve the previous minutes of that meeting. So you should have 2 sets of minutes, February 5th and March 11th.
Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, is the motion we approve? Motion we made, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted. The treasurer's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Wertz, the treasurer, is currently out of the country. He's touring Israel right now. He asked me to just read this off for him.
Good.
So, treasurer's report for the first budget quarter is from John Wertz. Oh gosh, I'm not a numbers person, so forgive me if I butcher this. Okay, the 2018 ending balance was $1,982. You have total revenue, and you can see in the paper here it's broken down into the categories. Total revenue is $14,786.52. Most of that going to underwrite the golf tournament in October, which I hope all of you will attend. Expenses total out to $13,852.70. $933. Oh yeah, sorry. Net income. That's what I was looking at. Is the number I just said. And then our cash balance available $5,835.29. Asset balance is $15,842.16. And again, I apologize. I probably butchered that. That's the report.
You're recognized.
Do we still have to, with the adoption of the new bylaws, do we still have two separate financial situations taking place right now?
Answer is yes. The Texas Ethics Commission recognizes two separate reports.
Are we making plans to consolidate that?
That's what we're trying to do, is get together.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is any question about the Treasury report? Hearing none, we hear from the SREC. A report from Judy.
I have something to report from the SREC meeting, some kind of notes from that. If you're in a big, it's nothing that has to be determined, you know, for me to do it now, but I'll be happy to if you want that. Or if you want to proceed with the big stuff, that's fine too. Do you have something?
Give your report.
Okay.
Be sure the mic's on.
Thank you for your service to the Republican Party. We currently are in a monumental fight for our lives, our liberties, and our country. And I wanted you to know that this, what I'm reading for you today, is from Robin Armstrong, our National Committee Man for Texas. And it was one of the big things that our SREC meeting tried to get everybody together and to realize what we're facing. The fight for our lives cannot be better illustrated than by the murderous behavior of the Radical Democrat Party. These radical Democrats no longer hide the fact that they want to murder unborn babies at 9 months in the womb, and have even decided that they are okay with murdering them outside the womb. Babies' lives for the sake of a political agenda. We are in a fight for our liberties. The fight for our liberties cannot be better illustrated than by the radical Democrats' un-American fight against capitalism and a representative republic form of government. The radical Democrats have finally admitted to being the socialists that we have always known they are. They are now taking the extreme position that the wealth and prosperity created by freedom should now be dismantled for the failed system of socialism. Free health care, free college, free groceries, free medicines. The Democrats promise everything will be free. What they don't tell you is that everything that is free is government-owned and government-controlled. The Democrats are working to recreate the poverty and corruption of Venezuela in America. Shameful. We are in a fight for our country. The Democrats have decided that they hate our president more than they love our country. They are willing to illegally wiretap the Trump campaign, collude with the Russians by paying for a fake dossier, and defame the character of good men and women who stand for conservative values. They are willing to do anything to win an election. When they are given some power and influence, the un-American Democratic Party is using the government institutions to determine our values, oppress innocent people, fight against what we believe, and brainwash our young children. We need to be prepared to fight in 2020. The Republican National Committee, under the leadership of Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel, raised over $300 million last year. That money is going towards organizing our activists on the ground, which of course is all of us, in all 50 states. Updated our ever-expanding database and paying for Republican leaders to staff and canvass their communities. every ethnic community in America to grow our party in areas where we have never seen growth. The RNC and its leadership has a strong relationship with President Trump and are laying the groundwork for the unprecedented re-election campaign exit. The only reason I brought this today is because our basic American values are under attack, which of course you all know. What we believe, how we worship, and how we raise our families is under a constant assault every day we awaken. I pray that we are prepared physically, emotionally, and spiritually for the fight ahead. And when I read that this weekend in Austin, I thought, you know, Montgomery County is ready for this. And we do that already. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ready for the committee report.
Vacancy committee, please.
Is that okay if I do this?
Yeah.
I don't want to speak with my back to you, although. The majority. Okay. Okay, we have currently 9 vacancies. Vacancy in precinct 26, 37, 39, 44, 45, 64, 73, and 87, and 95. And our vacancy committee, really our goal is to get these positions filled, and we are working hard. If you know of anybody in any of these precincts that might be willing to step up and fill the precinct chair position, please let us know, and we'll be happy to interview them and recommend them if it sounds right to do that. We met on March 25th, and we had a quorum present. We had one candidate, John Schluter from precinct 44, who submitted an application, and he came to be interviewed that evening. John has previously run for chairman of that precinct, and after interviewing John, we voted unanimously to recommend him as chair of precinct 44. John, would you like to come forward and just tell us a little bit about yourself? You can either stand there or you.
I'm not necessarily very loud without them, but my name is John Schluter. I've lived in Montgomery County since '84, basically. And most of that's been in precinct 44. I worked at Compact, which became HP, and then I worked for some of the companies that feed them. And I've worked some with the Republican Party in different things along the way. And with Ike Llewellyn, most recently in his run for the sheriff's position. So I appreciate your consideration.
Does anyone have questions? Sure you might.
The committee recommends John.
Yes, we unanimously did recommend him. But if anyone has any questions from the floor here.
That is in the form of a motion, and it does not need a second.
Is there any discussion?
Okay.
Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion's adopted. Congratulations and welcome aboard.
Okay, now I am to give John the oath. So you can just repeat after me.
I swear that I have not voted in a primary election
I swear that I have not voted in a primary election
or participated in a convention
or participated in a convention
of another party during this voting year.
of another party during this voting year.
I hereby affiliate myself
I hereby affiliate myself
with the Republican
with the
Party.
Republican Party.
I will fulfill the duties required of MCRP precinct chair
I will fill the duties required of MCRP precinct chair,
of holding a precinct convention
of holding a precinct convention
every other year
every other year
in even-numbered years.
in even-numbered years.
Make it a priority to attend
Make it a priority to attend
quarterly meetings
quarterly meetings
of the MCRP Executive Committee.
of the MCRP Executive Committee.
I will help organize and win
I will help organize and win
elections in my precinct.
elections in my precinct.
Additionally, I realize if I miss 4 consecutive that's kind of long.
Additionally, I recognize that if I
That
miss 4 consecutive MCRP Executive Committee meetings
During the biennium
during the biennium
in which I serve, that I may be subject to removal as precinct chair.
I may be subject to removal as precinct chair.
I swear that I will support
I swear that I will support
and abide by
and abide by
the bylaws that were duly adopted June 26,
bylaws that were duly adopted June 26,
2018.
2018.
I've read the preamble
I've read the preamble
and the 10 principles
and the 10 principles
of the Republican Party of Texas
of the Republican Party of Texas
and support each of them.
and support each of them.
I will support the general election Republican candidates.
I will support the general election Republican candidates.
Now he's got to do it all again with his hand raised.
Other committee?
Ron? See what I'm going to talk about now.
Okay.
The Precinct Chair Support Committee met back on the 23rd, and we revised, with a number of great suggestions, the series of 4 classes I had planned over the next year for new precinct chairs or reviews for precinct chairs that have been there for a while. And if you have, feel free to attend these meetings and classes, because you have suggestions that we're always open to. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we will be filming the first of these classes, and it'll be up so those people who cannot get into a fixed location can at their leisure view the classes. And as I said, we've expanded it from what I thought was going to be 4 to 6. Also, I had planned to cover electioning next year, but seems like CISD had something else in mind, so the next class will cover what a precinct chair needs to do in regard to holding the election. And we will cover several other things in the future classes. So, any questions? Yes, sir.
So what are the dates of the classes?
Well, we'll be filming it tomorrow, so it'll be up online by the end of the week, if not sooner. And then you can go. The other classes have not been scheduled yet.
So there's a class tomorrow?
We'll be filming a class tomorrow, put it up online, so there's none for you to attend. It'll be online.
There's no date as of yet.
Future ones have not been. Sir?
So there's no date of when it will be online?
Soon.
Okay.
Our IT expert to answer that question. Bill, would you want to venture a guess as to how soon we can get that up?
Well, I was about to come up with the next committee chair.
Okay.
We're going to film it tomorrow, and so it should be up by Monday at the latest.
Can it go to the website?
It will be on the website. We're trying to figure out, the navigation part of the website has gotten really crowded, and with all the new stuff coming online, Joe Sager and I are going to do some work on trying to make it a little simpler, and you're probably going to have your own part of the website with all the training in one place.
Can we get like an email saying when it's going to be posted? That'd be nice.
Are you on the mailing list?
For
The MCRP TX mailing list?
Give
That
your
would,
name and
that would be the
we'll
best
get it
place to
fixed.
do it. And, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, I'll get his address and we'll get that fixed.
Okay. Are you done?
I'm good, I'm done. Unless there's other questions.
That leads me into part of what I was going to talk about. I have done a video which will be up on, the base of it will be on mcp.tv, on how to sign people up for our mailing list using your cell phone. And what it allows you to do is do a simple one-screen sign up that you can have tied to your homepage or to your favorites on your phone, so that when you're in a social situation and you find somebody that's interested and we want to know how to get them more information and stuff, instead of telling them where the website is and hoping that they go home and remember that and do something, you can take your phone out, hit the button, hand it to them, they put in about 6 pieces of information, hit submit, and it's done. I also put out another video that went out to the people on the mailing list and the precinct chairs. I'm sorry, it just went to the precinct chairs on how to do a meetup using Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a fairly new social media platform that lets you be very geographically centric around your location. And what we are proposing is that the precinct chairs or their designee get on the Nextdoor. It shows you in the video how to set up a list that mirrors your precinct, which is really nice to do because you can't do that with any of the other social media platforms. And once you have that, we will then, as the 2020 Victory Committee comes online, be producing things for you to use to send out and start building a team within your own precinct. And then, of course, what we're doing is what Raquel has done, and that was have a meetup, which is just the new word for having a coffee with friends or whatever. And it will be a good way to be able to build a team within your precinct so that we can use it during the 2020 campaign. Questions?
Bill?
Yes.
What was that website address for the TV again?
mcp.tv, and you go on either, well, for the videos, go to YouTube. So if you go on YouTube and then search for mcp.tv, you'll find the site. And that's where all the videos are of the CEC and the other things. That's where this is going to tonight. mcp.tv. Thank you.
Hello. For the PR Marketing Committee, we are continuing to send out monthly newsletters of what is going on with all the committees and all the precincts. A lot of news about what's going on at the very local level. So you yourselves can submit news for the newsletters. The deadline is the 25th of each month. You can either submit through the newsletter itself or through the website when you subscribe to the mailing list. So there's lots of great news in there about upcoming events and things like that. We are also working on finalizing approval for a new logo. The steering committee has approved a new logo. Our last step is to have it approved by all of you. So I have brought lots of copies for everybody that hasn't seen it yet. So we can move to get the logo approved. This is our last step. And after we get the logo approved, we have a lot of great stuff coming with new logos. So we're planning on doing t-shirts and ball caps and stuff we can buy and raise money for the party. Also, just stuff we need. Banners, tablecloths, things like that. So we have a whole list going about different things that we can purchase for the party to use for events or for purchase so we can race funds for the party. We're also helping with events, getting the word out about various things going on, and that's about it. So, any questions? Yes?
Just a little comment about the tusk on the elephant,
Yes.
on how far back they go. It looks different.
Kind of from his ear.
Yeah.
We have had so many people give so many comments about the logo, and this was the final one that we got approved. So this is one the steering committee has approved for submission, so the time to make revisions is kind of there are so many changes we have made. So this is what's been happening for the last 2 months. So at this point, we just want to move forward because there's so many things that are waiting on a logo. And if we could go back and forth with different minor changes to make to it, this could go on for 6 more months.
Yep.
And that's not what we want to do.
Nope.
So we want to hopefully get this logo approved. You guys have the power, so up or down, whichever way we go. If the majority of you say no, we'll go back to the drawing board. So it's up to you. Any other questions? Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you.
Do I need to take it up?
Did you make a motion?
Did you make a motion to get it approved?
I motion to vote on the logo.
Make a second.
Is there a discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Yes. Chairman.
Aye, nay, no. Well, first I heard of any.
Stand up, Karen.
We need a stool. Right, shortly. I'm Sharon Darcy Pollock. I'm the chair of the Community Engagement Committee. And with the help of Mr. Bagley back there, we've got several events coming up that we've already got planned and going to be doing. One of them is this Saturday. It's at the Home of Hope event festival, and it's in New Caney. It's on the website. I finally got it on the website calendar, and we're gonna. It starts at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. One's 10, one's 8. It starts at 8. Goes from 8 to 3, and it's at 21675 McCluskey Road in New Caney. We'll have a booth there. We'll be handing out stuff about the Republican Party, comparison of the Democrats and Republicans, giving out constitutions, all kinds of stuff to get people in. And not stand still and watch them go by, but to reach out and get them to join us. The next event is going to be the Kid Fest in downtown Conroe, and that's on the 27th of April, and that's a big event. That one, we usually have like 20,000 people that come to that, and that's the one that starts at 10. It goes from 10 to 5, and we'll have a booth there. And we also try to get the some of the kids from the high school Republicans involved in helping us man the booth, because it's usually like a bounce house that we have a booth and then we manage a bounce house. And I'm too old to be climbing in bounce houses. So we get the kids from the high school Republican groups to come help us with that. And it also gives them an opportunity to see what we're doing and get involved. That's the next event, and that's out there too. And then the third event is in Splendora, and the date for that is May 11th. And that's going to be a 2-day thing. They have a festival there, and we're going to have a booth, but there's also a parade. And so we're gonna have a float in the parade. The parade's on Saturday, and kind of like we did the parade for the Go Texan thing, we're gonna have a similar type of float there and drive around and hand out things and talk to people. And we definitely want to make sure that this time we have more on our float than the Democrats on their float. And that we kind of got ours together a little late, so, but it was still, I think it was still worthwhile, and as time goes on, we're gonna have more events. We're probably gonna have several events for 4th of July. We're working on, there's a parade in the Woodlands, there's a parade in Montgomery, there's a parade out in East County. I mean, there's parades all over the place. I don't know how many parades we can be in, but if we can get a booth or whatever and be in the parade too, we're going to be everywhere we can be. So I encourage you to keep your eyes open and ears open and to attend and help at the booth and get out there and bring your friends and neighbors. Any questions? Yes, Paul.
What's the date of the parade?
The parade is on the 10th.
Saturday the 11th.
Oh, no. This starts on the 10th, which is Friday night, and then the parade is actually on Saturday at the 11th.
The big reason for going Friday night is we get to pick our spot.
Right.
And have it, because Saturday morning, everybody starts piling in, and we want the best spot.
And there's all kinds of, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on around it, so people can come and bring their kids and have a good time. There's food and games and all kinds of stuff, so it's an event. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Karen. Any other reports?
Yep.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, my name is Kelly Cook, and I'm the finance fundraising chair. So we need to get these guys some stuff. So when they go out and into the community, they'll have this new logo on a tablecloth. Maybe we'll get a sign. We've got a trifold being developed, so we need to print some of those. So we need to get these guys some stuff. So when they go out into the community, they're representing well. I mean, they'll do the good job anyway, but they need materials. So we are planning another fundraiser. This is at BJ's. That's a restaurant along 45 in Shenandoah. They have agreed to let us have 20% of the profits. We don't have to put any money up front. So on May 16th, you can have lunch or dinner at BJ's. Bring your friends. You do have to have this flyer so they can scan this. So pick one of these up, hang it on your fridge or whatever. You can even do like Uber Eats or, takeout. So hopefully all of you will participate in that because it'll be an easy way for us to raise funds. Everybody's got to eat, right? So we can get these guys some cool stuff. And then we've got the golf tournament. Some of you, I think, didn't get a flyer last time we ran out. And just to remind you, there is a contest. Whoever brings in the most money is sponsorships or players. You do need to write your name right here. There's a referred by. So and this applies to precinct chairs and everybody else. So be sure and write your name here and then hand these out. Hand these out at work and church and to your friends and Friday night fun or whatever you're doing. So anyway, that's about it. Yeah.
How's the 2020 campaign going for the fundraising? I'd just like to challenge our precinct chairs and
the 2020 campaign. Oh, yes.
The fundraising campaign.
Thank you. I was thinking the actual, 2020 campaign. I'm like, it's a little early for a report on that.
I'd like to challenge our precinct chairs and our guests to join it.
$20 a month, $20, 20 cents a month. If we encourage you to sign up because that monthly reoccurring donation is really nice to count on. We have lots of stuff we need to buy and to purchase, and so if any of you will consider signing up for the $20, 20 cents, so we can get prepared for the 2020 campaign. We're going to need push cards and all kinds of other stuff. Yes. Bill wants to jump in here.
I had hoped that I would have these here tonight, and they were supposed to come in today and they didn't, but I have purchased a number of red, white, and blue wristbands that say MCRP TX 2020 on them. And those of us who are 2020 members will get those armbands. And I think it will be a very suitable thing to come to an organization like this and go, here's my armband, who has armbands?
That's right,
And
and
we'll
they're gonna
see how
get
many
preferred
people have
seating
armbands.
up front too, next time.
And the other thing is on the night out, I will put that flyer on the website.
Alternative thing again?
Yes.
Where on the back page, where it says referred by, is
Yes.
that for the precinct chairs?
Yes.
Sign?
Yes, precinct chairs are volunteers.
And then we give it to whoever wants to
Whoever.
sign up?
Whoever will take it. And we'll get you more copies if you need them. Ginger.
Just one thing, if you go to BJ's, be sure to tell the management thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Number two, Bill, are you gonna have a shareable link on the website for that, BJ document?
There'll be a button that you can press that will download it to your PC as a
No,
PDF.
I wanna share it, like, on social media.
I'm gonna put it on Facebook, like, probably 220 times.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you can't, you don't go.
So we can share it there too. Yeah. And Ginger, I know you get on Twitter, so we're gonna tweet it. Okay. Questions, anybody?
If you're gonna put it on Facebook, put the link where we can share it to our timelines.
Okay.
Because I've got like 600 and something friends on
Oh,
Facebook.
yes, we need to get all 600 of your friends there because Cha-Ching, yeah. We gotta get Karen some more balloons for the parade.
That's right.
And maybe we can get balloons with the new logo on them if we get enough money. If you guys eat enough. And what are those cookies that they have? A Pizookie. You should get one of those for sure. It's this big hot cookie with a glob of ice cream on it.
Any other committee? Any new members? Hearing none, we'll move on to the 2020 Victory Committee. I believe you have an announcement to do.
I think Shay had an announcement on to add the people that signed.
That is. Oh, okay, there.
How's everybody doing this lovely evening?
Great.
Seem a lot happier now. Steering committee report on the Victory 2020 Victory campaign. We are nominating Dale Inman to be the chairman of that, with the co-chair of Susan Johnson and Kelly Cook. The reason we're nominating them is they were very successful in the last election. We hope to build on that momentum with the team we built. We had an event with a couple hundred volunteers. We did a lot of work. I think that would be wonderful, and we'd love to have Susan Johnson as the co-chair of that. Also in that committee, shall I just read the names? Just go straight down. Nominees are Bill Brenza, Raquel Lewis, Jenny Stevenson, Jonna Johnson, Sandra Grossman, Anita Henry, John Boucher, Eric Yalek, Barb Sadler, John Nickel, Kathy Ross, Bill O'Sullivan, Cindy Gaskell. All of the Republican women's clubs are listed on here, as well as the Patriots PAC, Young Republicans, MCTP, and the Young Republicans are listed again.
Point of inquiry.
Yes?
Why is it that the Magnolia High School Young Republicans are excluded?
Because they supported Democrats in the last election, and some people in the committee just thought that was a bridge too far.
Okay. I agree with you, but that was,
Moving on. No.
Well, no. That was last year's season.
I understand.
And I don't think that they should be, this other group should be excluded from that. And I think they made a mistake. I really do. I just don't think they thought that through all the way.
Well, that's fair. Let me say this about the committees, though, and I think I speak for everyone. Nobody's ever been told they can't be on a committee. Anybody who's approached anybody and said, I want to work, they get to work. So we can reach out to them and talk to them and see where their head is now. But if they say go veto, that's going to be a no-go for me. Okay?
Hey, I have a big stick. I'll help.
Thank you. Precinct Chair Support Committee. Kelly Cook is the chairman. Precinct Chair Support Committee. Paul Gabolis is the chairman there. The people, well, they had it set out a little bit different the way it's. So Kelly Cook's been nominated to that, Jenny Stevenson, Rachel Jones, Cherry Fesden, Mark Patterson, Patricia Carr, Susan Johnson, Kim Green, Sandy Curtis, and I'm already on that committee, so there's other people on the committee, but these are just the nominees that we're putting forward right now. Welcome to the 7:30 meeting, Mr. Inman. Sneaking in. Finance fundraising additions would be Vice Chair John Johnson, Catherine Ross, David Burka, Rachel Jones, John Nix, Tracy Layler, is I'm saying that right? David Layler, Patricia Carr, Eric Yallick, Sandy Curtis, Haley Millsap, Gina Cook, Terrence Boggs, and Bill Brunza. Terrence is already on the committee. Currently, he was holding the vice chair position, but he is being relegated to just a committee member on that. Also, I'm understanding Andy Nedra wanted to step off of that committee? Is that
on the finance, yeah, I want to step off of that.
Janelle Volke, Gordy Bunch, and Dale Inman are all coming off that committee. On the candidates committee, nominees are Jack Munich, John Nickel, Lori McMullen, Dale Fessenden, Joe Sager, Raquel Lewis, John Nix, Kelly Cook, and Al Schleifsky. And the PR marketing, Amy Byers, Beth Prickrell, Sheila McKay, John Nix, Sandy Jones. And on the rules committee, Alan Moore is being removed, and there was a sheet I gave him a moment ago with another person on it that had signed up that I held on to. My bad, sorry about that. But those are the nominees. Any discussion? Yes.
Yeah, why am I being removed from the rules committee? Because you never contacted me and told me there was a meeting? Is that it?
Sir, I'm not the rules guy. I'm just reading the page here. So that's your rules guy right there.
So
These are people to be added.
So I can address that. The reason I suggested that is because I sent many emails, made phone calls, got no return. So I saw him in the meeting first time, and I walked over and said, "Hey, can I get your email and address?" He gave it to me. I said, "Would you like to stay on the rules committee?" He says, "Yes." So I'm very happy to have him on there. He says he wants me on there, so I'm fine.
I'll withdraw the withdrawal. Is that good? I just read it anyway, sir. I didn't put it on there. Yes, ma'am.
Can I be removed from the finance and fundraising, please?
No.
I got you. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
You need to make a motion or?
Make a motion to approve the additions?
Quick question.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So I know that I had a couple new people for the resolutions committee. Was the steering committee able to look?
Oh, on that list I just gave you a few minutes ago?
Right, the new ones over and add them?
We did not, but they will be welcome to be on the committee since they signed up for it, and we will go through the process correctly at the next steering committee.
Okay.
So nobody's going to be kept off. And my apologies, when we had all the sign-ups out here, I had some clipboards left over and they got in the box and there was a couple of sheets left over, so.
Mr. Boucher, I'd like to go ahead and remind everybody, according to the bylaws, that anybody who has voted in the Republican primary can serve on the committee. They don't have to be a precinct chair or anything like that.
That's correct.
So you got anybody that needs help in the committees can go ahead and just go ahead and ask people, Republicans in the county, if they want to serve.
Thank you.
In the interest of unity, I think that there'll be some additions to the committees. Susan Johnson was recommended as the co-chair, and there will be other names added to the fundraising and other committees, so we'll get with Reagan about that. Because we need this, it's got to be a cooperative campaign for us to do this, and this is what we're set out to do, right, Reagan? So, anyway, I thought I'd let you know about that. Okay, another thing we need to vote on.
we need to vote on this motion.
Okay, there's a motion about the 2020 committee. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted. We're down to the bylaw amendments.
Mr. Chairman. Motion on the additions for these.
That's what we just voted on.
On that in addition of the 2020. Or did you combine the motion for the 2020 with the other?
I voted on the whole thing, I guess. I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to go ahead and move that on the amendments votes, since it's so very important tonight. I should have gone ahead and requested it when I requested a vote of no confidence. That we have a paper ballot vote, please. The CEC does not do that very often, but I believe that because these amendments are going to be the very first time we change the bylaws, that we really need the opportunity to vote in secret, because there's it needs to have a 66% in order to approve, and there's been a lot of discussion about the amendments, and I think that we deserve the right to have a paper ballot.
Mr. Chairman, have you recognized your motion?
You may.
I would like to make a motion actually for a roll call vote. I believe that this is so important that our constituents within all of our precincts deserve to know where each and every one of us stand on this issue. And you know, every single vote I've taken in the executive committee, you disagree with me or not on the vote, I'm proud to stand behind that vote, and I will go back to my constituents and defend it in the next election. I have nothing to hide, and I think for the public on something as important as this, to hide it behind a secret vote does not instill public confidence, and in my opinion, I would like to call for a roll call vote so we can get it all in the open for everyone to see how everyone votes.
I'll second that.
Lots of seconds.
Any discussion?
Point of inquiry.
Yeah.
Had some Millsaps this afternoon, and he told me he would leave the air conditioning on, so.
I don't believe there's any discussion in here any. We'll have a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed no. Motion's adopted.
That's my motion.
That was a roll call.
That was for the roll call.
Roll call.
Why didn't you have one for mine?
Like a second.
Why didn't we have a, because I'm going to go ahead and call for and make a vote.
Is there a motion for a secret ballot?
Yeah, I have a motion for a secret ballot.
Is there a second to the motion?
Because the steering committee has the right for a secret ballot. And I think that since we're in these amendments involve the steering committee.
If you want to discuss it, there'll be a time to discuss it. Is there a second to the motion? Hearing none, the motion fails.
Point of inquiry prior to the vote. Are we voting on the amendments yet?
Okay. So if you will look on the screen, every place where you see the yellow, that's the things that were changed. Okay. Okay, so there's the summary of them all. I'll just read them. Bylaws shall not conflict with chairman duties outlined in Texas Election Code. The CEC meeting agenda confirmed by the CEC. County chairman can call CEC meetings. County chairman presides at steering committee meetings. Steering meetings are called by the chairman or vice chairman. steering meeting agenda confirmed by the steering committee. So that's the summary. Has everybody had a chance to see this document, review this document?
Point of information, just 2 corrections. In section 7 agenda, refer to the word they, it should be the. And section 6 agenda, second paragraph, it's on the 3rd line, must be approved, it should be past tense. Approved.
I got the first one. What was the second one?
Section 6 agenda, 3rd line, 4th word, should be past tense. Approved.
Approved. Instead of approved. 4th word, 3rd line. Section 6 agenda.
Section 6 is article 6.
Okay.
Article 6, section 6.
And then what?
3rd line, 4th word, add a D.
Make it past tense.
Third line, fourth word.
Okay, I got another D.
Another B.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Any other typos noticed? How does either the chairman or the body want me to proceed? Do you want me to do it as one big vote?
There's another question
Do you want to discuss? Okay.
on the, next to the last page, Article 13, website and social media.
Wait. Let me get there first. Got it? Okay.
The steering committee may form another committee to oversee these functions, period, to do so.
Yeah, what's happened there?
Okay. I think that's, let me check the previous copy. Go to the last page. Check the previous version. We might be able to figure it out.
I think it means these functions.
Yeah. Okay, so that is, should be, the do so should be stricken. I have that in my old version to be stricken as well. So it's crept in there somehow.
Can you repeat where that is, please?
So the last page on the front, first paragraph.
Strike do so.
So how does the body want me to do it? In one big group?
Got another question?
Line by line?
Point of information.
Yes, sir.
Under the addendum A definitions, number 15, area chair representatives elected in caucus, should that specify a caucus of the area? Caucus of precinct chairs, caucus of who?
Where is it?
Last item, under addendum definitions, number 15, area chair.
We'll discuss that in rules and
I have a point of order. According to the bylaws, changes to the bylaws have to first be referred to Rules Committee, pass through Rules Committee, and referred back here. The only portions of the bylaws where that's happened are the ones that are highlighted in yellow. So anything that's outside of what's yellow, I think would not be germane and not be anything we could vote on tonight.
Point of inquiry, except for typos. Typos don't need to go to.
Right, that's a clerical thing that the secretary can fix. Yeah.
Brian?
Hold on a minute. So to answer your question, Paul, Rachel pointed out to look at section, what page?
Article 11, section 2.
Article 11, section 2. So, Area chairs shall be elected by majority vote in a caucus composed of the precinct chairs within the geographical area. So I think that clarifies that. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Back in section 6 under agenda, the yellow highlighted portion where we were talking about putting a D on the word approve,
Yes.
the word approve is misspelled.
We got that one too. We got another P going in there. Okay, any more questions? Okay, back to my question. Does the committee want to do this as a group, by section, or just line by line?
We do it as a whole.
Okay.
I second.
Okay.
And something from Robert's rules as well, I don't think that we'd have issues with Robert's rules if we broke it up, because in Article 4, Section 24 Robert's rules, it says, if a resolution includes several distinct propositions, but is so written that they cannot be separated without its being rewritten, the question cannot be divided. And I think there's so many technical aspects of this that intertwine and are in things that are listed in multiple parts of the bylaws, that if we split it up into paragraphs and one paragraph were to pass and one were to fail, it would have to be rewritten and it would undermine the structural integrity of the amendment.
Sounds like they want to do it as a group as a whole. So I guess now's the time to have discussion, pro or con, if you want to.
Would you please read what we're going to vote on, what changes we're going to make?
Sure. Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to do that, and I'll do it on the screen. So some of your papers are greenish, that's the ink issue. Is the committee okay with me reading this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Duties of the officers, Section 5, under County Chairman. We're adding, so the way this is, if it's yellow, it's changing. If there's a cross out of it, we're taking away. If there's no cross out, we're adding it. So we're adding the section that says the chairman shall preside over the steering committee. A little further on down, the bylaws shall not deprive the chairman statutory authority and duties outlined in the Texas Election Code or conflict with Texas Election Code in any way. Under executive chairman, executive vice chairman of the steering committee, the executive vice chairman shall preside over the steering committee in the absence of the chairman. So we're adding that. And then down below, the secretary, duties of the secretary will preside over the steering committee, let's see here, in the absence of the chairman and executive vice chairman, and the steering committee, okay, and there's 2 periods there, so I can get rid of that. Okay, down into steering committee, presiding officer, we're removing the executive vice chairman as presiding over the steering committee. And so it's just going to be the chairman shall preside over the steering committee, and the executive vice chairman shall be in if the chairman is absent, and we're removing that from the secretary's role. So it's chairman first, vice chairman, then secretary. That's kind of the order of fulfilling that role. Meeting calls of the steering committee. The steering committee meeting shall be called by the chairman or the vice chairman. Special meetings may also be called by 3 or more members of the steering committee by a petition sent to the entire steering committee. Notice of the steering committee meetings must be given 24 hours in advance. Agenda. The chairman, the they is wrong, the chairman or vice chairman or a combined member of the steering committee who by petition have called the steering committee meeting pursuant to Article 5, Section 6. Whoever has called the steering committee shall prepare an agenda and send it to the steering committee with the meeting call. The agenda for all steering committee meetings must be approved by majority vote at the beginning of each meeting. The steering committee may be may amend the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. So just a little tidbit there. Meeting calls. Now we're into meetings of the executive committee, this body here. So meeting calls. So we are changing that from vice chairman to county chairman. So regular and statutory meetings shall be called by the county chairman or the steering committee. And the statutory ones, every quarter we're supposed to have one meeting a quarter. That's the statutory one. Okay, so agenda for the for our meetings here. The chairman or steering committee, whichever has called the county executive committee, shall prepare an agenda and send it to the precinct chairs with the meeting called. The agenda for all county executive meetings must be approved, with 2 Ps, by majority vote at the beginning of each meeting. I guess that go should be of, right? Yeah. Okay. Let me make a note of that.
Yeah.
So. Okay. The executive committee may amend the agenda at the beginning of the meeting by a majority vote of those present, and once the agenda is approved, it can be changed by 2/3 of members present. So they were spelled out in detail, and there was none.
That's it.
Okay. So that's what we're voting on. I guess I'll let the chairman take over with managing discussion. I'll speak here for questions.
I move that we have discussion.
3 in favor, 3 against.
Report the motion.
Did we get a motion from Brian to a second to approve this meeting?
So this is the report of the Rules Committee, which is what we met, I think, February 11th. And so it doesn't need a second, but yes, this is my report, and I propose this for being considered.
Your second
Second is not yet necessary.
discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to vote against the amendments. And because of only one reason in here. I don't mind any of the other changes. I don't mind the chairman being able to call meetings. I don't mind any of the things, except I do mind that the chairman, instead of the executive vice chairman, will preside over the steering committee. And the reason being, according to our new bylaws, there's 2 branches of power here in our Montgomery County Republican Party by the bylaws. One power lies in us, the CEC, and the other power, which is a larger power, they determine what we vote on, is the steering committee. And because they have more power, and was originally designed that way, in order to protect the grassroots, because as it is right now, all members of the steering committee are elected by vote by us, the CEC, except for the county chairman, who automatically is a member of the steering committee. Unfortunately, the chairman has not attended a single steering committee meeting, and he's going to have to learn everything involved when it comes to running the steering committee, in addition to his own very, very busy duties. Because, and I think that this position should stay with the vice chairman specifically because of the number of responsibilities that go with the chairman, having to communicate with the federal administration, having to communicate with all the state administration. And he is still in bad standings with the state because he was found guilty of behavior of disgracing the Republican Party. And one last thing, because we have two branches of power and we get to vote for the CEC gets to go ahead and vote for the people on the steering committee. We vote for the vice chairman, and his duties today are to go ahead and run the steering committee, which I agree with. And the reason I agree with that is because otherwise we would be losing another vote that we would normally have in electing the steering committee. We actually that is our committee, the steering committee. And because of it, we should be able to determine who the chairman is. And because in the new bylaws, the chairman will now, who is currently, he goes ahead and he owes his devotion to the voters of Montgomery County. He will also have power over the steering committee, and so we will no longer have the right to vote for the chairman who runs our own CEC elected steering committee. I'm going to sit down.
Thank you. Point of information, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, do you acknowledge with these changes the 2018 bylaws that were voted in June 26th with the amendments? If they are approved, will you acknowledge these and follow these bylaws?
Before we answer that,
I asked point of information.
Point of information. I want to know in advance if the chairman acknowledges the bylaws that were passed in June of 2018. And I want to know if he abides by them and if he acknowledges that he violated the rules until recently.
You're out of order.
Out of order.
I did ask point of information.
Point of inquiry?
Yeah.
This is for Reagan. Reagan, have you informed Marcus as to why Dr. Wilkerson did not previously attend the steering committee meetings?
I can't speak to that because the steering committee notices are sent out to all of the members of the executive committee. They're posted on the website well in advance, and so I can't speak to that.
May I speak to it? Since you told me personally that you were sending it to the wrong email and Dr. Watley has acknowledged he never got those notices. Correct?
The email that I sent the notices to was drwally@mcrp.org. I have received emails from Dr. Wilkerson from that email address, and so I don't think that it's unreasonable if I've received emails from that address I don't think it's unreasonable to send notices to that address. Now he has since come and said that he does not receive emails at that address, and so I'm not going to question what he's saying.
Thank you.
All question?
I think we had it.
Yeah. Good working out.
Can we call the vote?
I'm still at that point of information from Dr. Wally. I think we're all looking at it.
If the bylaws are amended, we'll consider it, yes. Yes.
Point of information. I'd like to find out from the chairman if he will acknowledge that he did not abide by the bylaws.
Point of order.
Come on.
Point of information.
Point of information.
Yeah.
I would like us to move forward, Marcus. I certainly respect what you're saying and what you're doing, but I'm moving in a different direction. I think we need to move in a different direction.
I concur.
And I get what you're saying, but I respectfully disagree with that. No, he has every right to speak his mind, but I just think we should move forward at this point.
It's time for healing.
And my chairman, Dr. Wally Wilkerson, said he didn't get it. I have every faith he didn't get it, and there was reasons, extenuating circumstances, he didn't respond to that email. And Mr. Vice Chair, I respect that you sent it to there, but I mean, I get emails all the time, someone said, I sent you an email, I said, man, I can't keep up with them all sometimes. It's mistakes happen. So in light of the Honorable Mr. Dr. Wally Wilkerson has done for this party, I think we should move forward and not press on this issue at this time.
I'd like to speak more. It's been a very interesting journey. We can all agree on that. Now, I understand all of Marcus's concerns, don't disagree. I think we can be confident, though, that if we do reunify, as we're trying to do tonight, that the state chairman and the state SREC will celebrate with us.
I don't necessarily agree because.
I understand.
He hasn't followed.
Point of order. I am what we see tonight, moving forward, we can actually work together as a party. Yes. I think that's an excellent accomplishment. And we have the task before us. I would recommend that we do, in fact, we will vote for you.
Mr. Chairman, have you recognized to speak on the amendments? I wanted to speak on these amendments, and I think everyone knows where I've stood on this, but I wanted to specifically address some things because I am actually currently the chairman of the steering committee, and because of that role, I may have something pertinent to say about that. I guess the first thing, the statement was made that the steering committee is more powerful than the executive committee. If you read through the entire bylaws, the executive committee is actually much more powerful than the steering committee, if for no other reason than the executive committee is the one who picks the steering committee, and the steering committee serves at the pleasure of the executive committee and can be recalled by the executive committee at any point in time. You know, when we first authored these bylaw amendments, the intent was to model after what the founding fathers did when they founded this country, and that is have constitutional checks and balances in a Republican little r form of governance for our county party. And what these amendments do is well, so when we passed that, we acknowledged that it's from the very beginning. We said that. We said that at the June 26th meeting, that there would need to be changes here and there as we went down the road and we worked through the bylaws, and that's part of it. That's why we put the process to amend the bylaws into the bylaws. And so what these changes do is they perfect the system of checks and balances that we have and balance things out more, and I think will lead to a much more efficient way of running the party. And just to talk about the strength committee for a minute, I don't think that by these changes that we are negatively impacting the checks and balances in any way, because you still elect 8 of the 9 members of the steering committee. And so the steering committee is still your body, chosen by you, the vast majority of them. But if you look at what the state party does, the Chairman Dickey is the chairman of the state steering committee, and it just makes sense that have the chairman elected by the voters be the chairman of the steering committee. And so I don't think that we're upsetting checks and balances. I think we're giving our chairman his rightful place on the steering committee by making this change. And I say that as the current chairman of the steering committee, I don't think that I should be the chairman of the steering committee. I'm saying that as the current chairman. I think it's appropriate to have Dr. Wilkerson chair that. Regarding the meeting calls, I think the chairman should be able to call a meeting, and if anyone calls a meeting, if the chairman calls a meeting, if the precinct chairs call a meeting, if the steering committee calls a meeting, as long as we're here to talk about Republican business, I don't really care who called the meeting. I have no problem showing up to that meeting and discussing Republican business. And so that's a good change. And the final change in here was to protect the chairman's statutory authority. I don't think any of us want to run afoul of state law. And so what we have in here tracks with state law, and that's good. And so, just in closing, my hope is that after everything we've been through last year and the contention, that was not good for our party. You see videos circulating around the internet of these executive committee meetings descending into chaos, and the public sees that, Republican voters see that, and I don't think that instills confidence in the Republican Party from the voters' perspective. And the Democrats see that, and they were laughing at us. They spent all last year laughing at us. And really, it's amazing to think about it. We were still able to deliver 72% of the vote to Senator Cruz in that election, despite everything that was going on. And we're the reddest suburban county. But just imagine for a minute, if we are unified going into the next election, how much more we can expand our victory margin. And we could be 75, 80% Republican in this county if we're unified between Dr. Wilkerson's experience and wisdom and knowledge and of all doing this for so many years, and all the new grassroots energy that's coming in. If we could work together and combine forces, I think we would be an unstoppable force. And let me tell you, Ted Cruz, Montgomery County was 40% of his margin of victory last time. And I suspect, as you're seeing slipping of Republican vote margins in these other counties, that the margin will be even smaller next time around. And Montgomery County very well may be 100% of the Republican vote margin, of all those electoral votes that are going to be at stake. So this is important, folks. And I think if we can pass this and we can move past what happened last year and build on what happened in March and move towards a better party and a more united party, I think that passing this is what's in the best interest of our county party. So I would ask that you all vote in favor.
Coach Katie, I'm proposing that we vote against this with the comment by Chairman Wilkerson that he will take the passing of the bylaws and the amendments to the bylaws into consideration. Into consideration is no different than what we're in now. To acknowledge, yes, if they are passed, that is unity. Into consideration is no different. So until I hear that they are, Mr. Wilkerson, Chairman Wilkerson accepts this, I ask my fellow precinct chairs to vote no. Thank you.
Yes.
In the interests of reconciliation and unity, which is what I think everybody wants to get here tonight, I'm the one who seconded the no confidence vote a few minutes ago, so I'm speaking from the dissenting side. I'm willing to switch sides, if it were, and vote for these amendments in the sole interest of bringing us together, as Megan mentioned. Bring your wisdom and your experience, in addition to everybody's fire in their bellies. We've all got it. We all want to win. Nobody wants to go blue this time. If you would just commit in front of everybody right now, if you will follow the bylaws and the amendments, just a simple yes or no, that alone, I think, would unify everybody in this room. And if you do that, you're going to sweep the vote. Right. You could get 100%. 100% is the right number, with no dissension. If you just say, yes, I commit to the bylaws and the amendments, regardless of how the vote goes.
This is what I'm working toward, and working with Reagan and unifying the group, we can come to that solution in the future, yes.
Right here, right now. This is the vote. Not, I'll think about it or I'll get back to you. Because we're about to vote yes or no. We need to vote yes or no. We need to know what we're voting for. Please commit yes or no. Sweet.
Yes, sir.
Come forward. For 9 months, we've been at each other's throats. 9 months. All because we can't agree on these bylaws, or everybody else agrees. We've gone through every process to keep this fair. I voted for Dr. Wilkerson, okay? I voted for him because I wanted him to be the county chairman. If I thought he was right for 1 second in any of this, I'd have been fighting on his side, but I didn't. We went through the process with this, and many of you said to me, if this goes to the SREC and they find in Dr. Wilkerson's favor, will you comply? I said yes. It was a unanimous vote against, and some of you people went back on your word, and y'all continued fighting us, which you still do today. So we're asking for Dr. Wilkerson, whether he accepts the bylaws or not, is really kind of irrelevant to the fact of whether they're in place or not. They're in place. The Republican Party of Texas links to our website. They recognize us. The SREC voted unanimously that we were correct. The Texas Republican County Chairs Association said we're correct. Okay? That's over. All we have left is people saying, no, I won't go along. That's what's dividing the party. There's one person that has had the power from day one to end this, and he's sitting right there. All he has to say is, I accept the bylaws, let's work together and continue to work together. We have not excluded anyone from any committee, not one person. So when I hear people say now we get to work together, I get a little bit annoyed because you were always welcome. We had people sign up for committees and then just not show up. People sign up for committees, say, yes, I'm committed. I want to keep Texas red. I want to work for Montgomery County Republican Party. And then I read in the Montgomery County Gazette that they're not going to work with us. It's not the way to find out. So I want to work with all of you. That's why I joined the party. I voted for this man. I want to do this the right way. We've gone through the thing step by step by step to make sure it was all legal and proper, and it is. The only person that can fix this today is Dr. Wilkerson. And if he does not say he accepts the bylaws today, I am voting against this. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I would like to speak toward us passing these amendments. I know there's a lot of tension on the matter, and so whether someone agrees with the bylaws or not, you know, it's helpful. But these bylaws are bylaws, and we're improving them. What we think are better. The Rules Committee voted unanimously with this. So I would encourage you to vote for these amendments on these bylaws. I think it'll make our bylaws even better.
There's not a whole lot that can be said that hasn't been said by everyone here. I voted for the bylaws of the steering committee. I went to the rules meeting and listened and understood everything. Mr. Pratt, I believe you were there too. We came together in that moment and looked at everything, and that's what we chose. So whether or not, I'm still sticking by my vote that I voted for in the steering committee to approve these rules. It's a step in the right direction. May not be perfect, but it is a step. That's what we need. We don't get everything right the first time. That's why we have amendments. But we're getting there. We can have the perfect bylaws later on, but we can get there. So I'm still voting for these despite anything else. That's all I have to say. Thank you all.
Call the question.
Question by Paul. Do I hear that?
Call the question, please. Let's vote.
Has anybody not signed in? I think I saw a few people.
Yeah, every one is. Yeah, Billy.
The walk of shame. Okay, I'm going to call attendance and then we'll call the roll call vote.
Is our new precinct chair on that list?
He signed in. So a quorum is 22, and I will let you know the attendance after we call that. Joe Sager. Sheila McKay. Here. David Smith.
Here.
Paul Gabolas.
Here.
Linda Taliaferro. Landon Este. David Burka.
Here.
Bill Kershaw. Quentin Smith.
Here.
Mark Frank. Marley Stripling. Karen Zeller.
Here.
Brian Crumby.
Here.
Amber Shipham. Gary Reynolds. Walter West. Samuel Allison, Jonathan O'Dare, Lonnie Clover, Oline Heasley, Alan Moore, Pat Cullum, Scott Baker, James Byers, Phil Cady, Dale Emden,
Here.
Daniel Ure, Linda Stuckey, Guy Stripling, Betty Anderson, Amy Horn, Scott Robbins, Brian Arsenault, John Boucher, Paul Krausen, Charles Pareda, Henry Daniels, Jerry Guion, should we say his name? Bill Philibert. Bill signed in, is he here? Bill Philibert.
He left.
Marlene Tahita. John Schuler? Okay. Yvonne Wunschke. Mary Ford. Tom Hughes.
Here.
Orville Jolly. Reagan Reed.
Here.
John Barton. Wayne Pearson.
Here.
Tim Hayes. Gene Williams. Sandra Mobley. Jim Doyle. Ashley Burke. Lana Haslett. Allison Winter. Andrew Nedrow.
Here.
Becky Feaster.
Present.
KT Jackson. Julie Pauble. Johnny Bryant. Adrian Taser.
Present.
Catherine Ross. Connie Conrad. Here. John Wirtz. Jack Munich.
Here.
Brad Spratt. Ann Kate.
Here.
Ginger Russell.
Here.
Larry Rogers.
Here.
Curtis Luker. Carol Parson. Keith Wagner. Mark Wilkerson.
Here.
Lane Carroll. Sandra Grossman. Sandra Grossman. Jody Renovar. Patricia Carr.
Present.
Brandon Lashley. Myself, Rachel Bingham. Jenny Stevenson.
Here.
Frederick Sunderman. James Gilbert. Russ Shoup.
Present.
Marcus Woolridge.
Here.
Paul Coate. Ron Willingham. Mary Lewis. Scott Green. Okay, let me count these up real quick.
And that is, county chairman should have the same as state chairman does, as one of the treasurer.
All right, we have 43 present, so we have a quorum. All right, so this vote is on the Rules Committee report, which is the amendments as a whole. So a vote for would be in favor, a vote against, not. Which is all right, so okay, Sheila McKay. Yes. David Smith.
Yes.
Paul Gabolis.
Yes.
David Burka.
Yes.
Quentin Smith.
Yes. Oh, I'm present, voting present.
All right, this is on the vote for the amendments as a whole.
I'm voting present.
You're voting, okay.
I'm abstaining.
All right. Karen Zeller.
Yes.
Brian Crumby.
Yes.
Amber Shipham.
Yes.
Samuel Allison.
Yes.
John O'Dare.
Yes.
Alan Moore.
Yes.
James Byers.
Yes.
Bill Katie,
Precinct 25, no.
Dale Inman,
Yes.
Linda Stuckey,
Yes.
Guy Stripling. So yes. Betty Anderson,
Yes.
Scott Robbins,
No.
John Boucher,
Yes.
Charles Pareda,
Yes.
Henry Daniels,
Yes.
John Shooter,
Yes.
Tom Hughes,
Yes.
Reagan Reed,
Yes.
Wayne Pearson,
Abstain.
Andy Nedrow,
Yes.
Becky Feaster,
Yes.
Adrian Kaiser,
Aye. That's a yes.
Catherine Ross,
Yes. Yes.
Connie Conrad,
Yes.
Jack Munich,
No.
Ann Kate,
Yes.
Ginger Russell,
No.
Larry Rogers,
Yes.
Mark Wilkerson,
Yes.
Sandra Grossman,
Yes.
Sandra, both of you,
Both of them. Hey, Sandy, you got it.
Patricia Carr,
Yes.
Jeannie Stevenson,
Yes.
okay, Rachel Bingham, yes. Russ Shoup,
Abstain.
Marcus Woolridge,
No. Precinct 91.
Ron Willingham,
Yes.
Scott Green.
Yes.
There's 35 for, 5 against, 3 abstained. So the motion passes. I'll say that again.
Did Dr. Wilkerson cast a vote?
He's chairing the vote. He cannot vote one way or another. He can't vote one way or another as he's chairing the vote.
He is a member of the executive committee.
But hardly it passed. Do you really, really, really want it to pass, or it's already passed?
Well, I understand. I just asked.
The presiding officer only votes in case of a tie, to break a tie.
I can say it again. It was 35 for, 5 against, 3 abstained.
It needed 15 in order to kill the amendment. So the amendment passes with over 2/3.
81%.
I appreciate your confidence. This is a step in the right direction, a step I'm prepared to take, and we'll bring this thing together.
Dr. Wally, can you turn on your mic, please?
I appreciate very much your vote. I think this is a step in the right direction and one that Reagan and I agree on. I think we can work together and bring about a few minor changes here and there, as he indicated, and we're all on the same page. So let's move on to a victory in 2020. Okay. Next is the area chair election. Oh, okay. But he doesn't have the name of the person.
What they would do according to the bylaws is split into caucuses by area, and then each area would elect the chair for that area.
So we have 10 districts or 10 areas, and each of them has a number of voting precincts. Just want to read them off.
Point of information.
Yes.
Since most people were unaware that you're going to be voting on the area chairs, I asked if we couldn't postpone this to the next meeting so that
I think that would be a good idea.
chairs can be informed as to what area they're in and who might be running.
Yes, I second.
That's a very good suggestion.
I move that we table the area selection for the remainder of the agenda for the next CEC.
There's a second.
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And I think that brings us down to the final thing, doesn't it? New business, sorry. Any new business?
I believe Mr. Byers was to table the remainder of the agenda.
Yes.
If I was correct.
So we're at motion to adjourn.
We're at adjournment. He tabled the motion to adjourn, table everything down to that.
You can't table new business. That's by the bylaw, that's required to be in the agenda.
We just voted
Yeah.
unanimously, we can change the agenda with 2/3 vote, so that's, I mean, I wasn't for it. My understanding of this.
Oh, is there any new business?
There is a motion to adjourn. Did I hear it?
Yeah.
I second.
I have a motion not to adjourn. I'd like to make the motion for, I'd like to propose a resolution.
Point of order. There's a motion on the floor to adjourn. What does that mean? No discussion.
Yeah.
I'd like
We
to
can discuss it, we can discuss it, but that's the motion on the floor. You can't do it.
Can I propose?
What do you got, Marcus?
Oh, I'd like to go ahead and propose the motion for a resolution for the Republican Party to go ahead and put a 10-year limit on time serving as the chairman.
Is there a second?
You make me want to resurrect the days of Ross Perot. You're looking at a man who was for Ross Perot and who went against our Republican candidate. Welcome aboard.
I was never a Republican.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.